I'd like to cover this week what makes a successful video game. Well, a successful video game, in essence, is a game that makes me want to play it. Something that I look at and think, wow, I can't live without that. That's an experience I need to have. And in order for a game to really compel me in that way, it needs to meet three criteria. Those namely being having a clear goal or objective in mind, right? Having very well-defined rules so that I don't feel cheated and that I know exactly what system to operate within. And having a well-defined system of feedback that shows me when I'm not doing well or when I am doing well, rewarding me or dissuading me as the game needs to. Now I'm going to talk about three games that exemplify three different genres from three different eras, and I'm going to talk about why they're great, why they meet those three criteria to be a game that I really, really want to play, and why they need to serve as beacons to video game developers to continue making games like this, or at least use them as inspiration. Now, anybody who knows me knows that this was inevitable. I couldn't not show Zelda first. Zelda for the NES is, genre-wise, a puzzle adventure game. Puzzle first and foremost. All of the combat, thinly veiled puzzles. All of the exploration, also puzzles. You don't just hold forward on a stick like in Skyrim until you discover a new region. You actually have to use the candle that you saved up for to burn the bush, to go down into the staircase that was under the bush that you just burned down, to find the secret shop with whatever. It's a very cerebral experience. It has a very clear goal and objective in mind at all times. It's either, I need to beat this place to get out, or I need to beat this place to reassemble the magic artifact that I need to stop the evil guy. It's not a very complex story, but stopping evil and saving the lady are still very compelling in their own, relatively simplistic way. Now, there are very clearly defined rules and a system of feedback in Zelda as well. The other two reasons why it's an exemplary video game. The rules in Zelda are super clearly defined. You have a really excellently shaped hitbox. Every time you make a mistake in Zelda, it was certainly your fault. And when you do make a mistake, you're shown it by losing big red hearts on the big red bar that says life. You make a damaged noise, you take knockback. You're very much, ouch, when I got hurt. In Space Invaders, you just, oops, I guess I screwed up. In Zelda, like, oh no, I really just got jabbed at pretty hard. Crud, I gotta reevaluate, I gotta pull back, try to fight this monster in a different way. Perfect. Excellent system of feedback, well-defined rules, very simple but effective objective to follow. That's what a puzzle adventure game should be. Now let's talk about what a life simulation game should be. Harvest Moon 64 is the quintessential life simulation game. Day changes to night, weather changes. You can raise animals, raise crops over long periods of time, cultivate relationships with townsfolk. Everything about Harvest Moon is an immersive role-playing experience. Now, the objective of Harvest Moon is very interesting because Harvest Moon continues on into infinity. But when you look at something that's broken and you know exactly how to fix it through your own creative long-term means, it becomes very, very compelling. Harvest Moon demands that you set your own goals and objectives for it. It keys into a person like me who looks at something that's broken and desperately wants to fix it. A huge ranch that could be amazing, but it's got a crummy little ranch house on it, and it's got a bunch of rocks and weeds and broken fence posts everywhere. And somebody like me, and somebody with a gamer mentality, looks at that and they think, I can do something with this. It's an arena, it's a landscape to build on. And that's why it's such an effective life simulation game. Because when you enter into life, you don't actually have a very clearly defined goal or objective in mind at all. You just look at something you have and think, where can I improve on this? Where can I go with it? That's one of the reasons Harvest Moon is so effective. The rules are really, really well defined. Your character visibly gets tired if you overwork him. Your system of feedback is punishment for overdoing, but reward for doing admirably adequately. The rules in the system of feedback in Harvest Moon are pretty simple. Harvest Moon exists within a relatively mundane world insofar as supernatural things, apart from the harvest goddess and the little imps on occasion, don't tend to happen. You understand exactly what's that hitting a rock too many times, or that chopping the same stump too many times, is going to make your character tired, and by consequence you're going to fall over. You also understand that properly managing your finance and your farm means you're going to get more money so that you can upgrade that dingy farmhouse I was talking about earlier, or buy a horse that you can use to ride around and get to objectives faster. Bottom line is Harvest Moon 64 is compelling because it keys in on exactly what's compelling about life. Learning about something that's put in front of you and growing and adapting to work with it. Third game I'd like to talk about, starting off with genre, it's an RPG and then a shooter. Borderlands 2. It combines two genres which, on their own, have long compelled all of us, and me, but when married together, become more than the sum of its parts. Its objective is, much like Harvest Moon, to see something that has space for infinite potential and shape it into exactly what you want it to be. You see, in Borderlands, when you level up, you can spend points in skill trees to make your character just exactly play like you want them to. Two people's characters can play wildly different from one another. You've built something where once only possibility was. The objective there is to make your perfect ultimate killing machine, I suppose, avatar in this space. And it's a very, very compelling objective. Now the rules are really simple, as often they are in a shooter. Don't get shot, shoot the bad guys lots. System of feedback, again, in any shooter, is really, really effective insofar as death robs you of money, and money is what you care about more than most things in this game because it's what you use to buy better weapons with better stats. There are few positive feedback experiences in video gaming today, quite like opening the treasure chests in Borderlands and seeing loot, sometimes literally animated, to spew out. It's very rewarding because it's playing off of that desire to build a character up incrementally or build a thing like I talked about in Harvest Moon. However, Borderlands is sort of like a dangling carrot. The system of feedback is like, you'll get there eventually, and then they give you a chest or a level up, and then they just pour amazing, good, positive experiences on you all at once. It's this euphoric release of loot and leveling. I'm going to call it primarily an RPG role-playing game, and secondarily a shooter. I urge you all to play these games and understand what I see in them, and hopefully learn and grow from your experience with them.